Hello everyone, welcome to the Aardvark Asks section. I'm Michael Rodby, your host. With me today is senior recruiter Philip Bolt. Today we're talking to Adam Comrie, gameplay and narrative designer at nDreams. Hello Adam.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, thank you.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit more about your role and what a typical day involves for you.
Okay, so as you said, I'm a gameplay and narrative designer. So it's funny, like every day is different, right? So when I first started here, I was focusing more on the narrative side of things, on particular projects, jumping from this one to another one, just making sure there's no narrative inconsistencies, especially if I'm jumping in a project midway, right? So just trying to flatten and iron everything out, creating narrative systems, making sure things work, and then the gameplay side of things. So I'm kind of, designing and working very closely with the director and principal designer for features, game features, and trying to get that implemented in the game. So working really heavily across the board with, code, art, and designers as well. So it's been really cool. I'm also lucky enough to be part of the pitching and prototyping team as well. So, when I started in October, I was asked to, pitch game ideas with X amount of budget on this type of genre, for example. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience, It's something I've done before, so being able to come here and do it again is amazing. But yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot on. So how long have you been at nDreams then, and what was your kind of background before?
And yeah, so it's been about 10 months now. So before I was here, I was working at Supermassive Games as a cinematic game designer, which was really cool. I think what's really cool about that actually is, my journey first of all started as me being a filmmaker. So after I transitioned from film, I've done a master's in games design and development and found my way into the industry basically. So, and that was really cool because I think they quickly picked up and realized my experience in film and how that can work with such a highly experienced studio working on cinematic games, right? So storytelling is on point, the cameras and everything, it just looks like a movie basically. And so it's been really cool doing that. I've had some experience working in augmented reality as well at startup studios. So it's been interesting.
So I found it really interesting that you transitioned from a sort of filmmaking background into to video games. Specifically myself, I graduated uni doing film and media. So and there's a lot of people actually that apply through us looking to make that transition as well. So I was wondering what drew you personally to video games from a filmmaking background?
Interesting question. I've always loved video games, right? Since I was a kid, I've loved them, playing them. Not once did I ever consider there's an opportunity to make them. It was so weird. And it only hit me in my late 20s, I was playing games as a kid, not once. I'd always say I want to be an actor or, a rapper or a comedian or something. And then, in my early teens, I wanted to be a filmmaker. But again, I never had anybody around me that could, point me in a direction of making video games. For some reason, I just thought these things just pop up by themselves. I don't know. But then, so me doing my films now, I was in love with Avatar, the movie Avatar. James Cameron changed the world, I think, with that. Just the technology and giving us an insight into where things can potentially go. So I'm watching that movie now in 3D and I'm so immersed and I wanted to be there so badly. I remember going to sleep, crossing my arms, hoping I'm going into the incubator to wake up in that world. I know it sounds crazy, but I loved that world so much. It blew me away. And because of that, I said, there's no way, although that movie helped me feel that way, I never had the opportunity to explore that world and interact with it myself. So I said the only way I could do this is getting into games. And from early, I had my eyes on virtual reality, from when the Oculus first launched. And even before that, I was hearing talks of this stuff. So, and I was like, this is just the perfect fit. You know, if I can learn how games are made and then I can get into virtual reality, I can potentially create worlds like this that people can go around and explore and interact with, given players ultimate freedom. So yeah, that was how it started.
How difficult was it for you to make the transition, though? I mean, was it? I know the games industry is quite a closed industry.
Yeah,
And a lot of people struggle to get a foot in the door.
totally.
Was it any different from your side?
Oh yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So doing the masters, I studied games design and development at the National Film and Television School, which was, I think, the perfect way for me to do it, right? I'm in a film school, that's my background anyway. So I done that, learned what I needed to do. It was a 2-year full-time masters. And I just, from that moment, I was like, flipping heck, this is difficult, you know? So trying to get a job now, I knew was going to be difficult for me, you know, and I if you want the honest truth, I've checked out events, I've gone on websites applying, and I haven't really seen many look like me in the industry. So I was thinking, okay, I need to really work my ass off here, really. Sorry for my language, but so I remember, like, when I was studying, I kind of said to myself, every project I do, I need to challenge myself in a mad way, like, and look at the companies I would like to work at in the future, the studios. For example, I always knew Supermassive Games is somewhere I wanted to work at some point in my life, because Until Dawn was incredible. So one of my projects I made was like a cinematic narrative game. So I really focused on like the cameras in that and the storytelling, etc. I've done a bit of facial motion capture as well, you know, taught myself all of that stuff. And then I ended up also knowing that VR was going to be a next part of my journey. So I said, for my final project, I want to make a VR game. So I did. And that was the most difficult thing I've ever done, VR. And I'm surprised I'm back in it, to be honest, because it gave me nightmares and I'm still traumatized from that. But yeah, so it has been, to answer your question, mate, it has been difficult. Applying is never easy, but surprisingly, I've had a lot of opportunities, like, you know, in terms of I've been interviewed for studios I never think I'd be interviewed for, especially in my early days. But I think having the passion for it and really not just being, because I'm no expert or anything, I'm still early, I'm an infant in this industry, right? But I can at least say that my passion is driving me to learn as much as possible every single day. I'm looking into the type of tech, and I'm always thinking ahead. So I would encourage anybody to kind of do the same.
Yeah, so if someone was to want to do the same, like I said, we do get a few people inquiring about moving from a film background, so maybe even like film animation, for example, even making that transition to game animation is difficult. What kind of advice would you give to someone wanting to move from the two industries?
Good question. I want to start with this though. When I was in film, and I remember emailing so many studios asking how can I transition from film into games and VR specifically. Not one response, you know, so that was heartbreaking. But to answer the question, I would say, okay, if you're in the industry, know what is it that you like about it, because you might, for example, be doing animation and you might not like it at all. But if there's something you really like about it and you think it can fit into games, for example, try and figure out how. So look into studios who have that background of, like, for example, studios who have motion capture facilities, you know, do some research on that. Is that something you want to get into? You know, basically, in essence, there is so much that we have inside of us, and we're doing all the time. And sometimes it's relevant, sometimes it's not. But if you find what excites you, visualize what excites you, what can you imagine doing every single day and being happy doing that, that's your answer. Like, for example, I would go on company websites reading over job descriptions, and I'm saying, okay, I might not know how to do this now, but let me do a bit more research into it. And if I like the sound of it, can I visualize myself doing that every day? And if I'm smiling doing that, I'm going for it, you know? So with that in mind, like, there would be softwares, like, biggest thing I would say, because a lot of people will hit me up on LinkedIn asking me the same question, and I would say to them, you know, look over job descriptions, multiple ones, different studios across the board, you know, different countries, and see the patterns. If there were certain softwares that you're seeing as a pattern coming up, you know, like, for example, Maya or Unreal Engine. Like if you're seeing more studios doing that and using those softwares, focus on that one. Unreal, for example, is the way to go, in my honest opinion. So, yeah, I mean, I have a friend who works in motion capture, and he wants to transition. So it's literally trying to figure out how we can do that. So it's an ongoing conversation. You're not just going to get the answer in one day. It's an ongoing conversation, an ongoing exploration. But just don't give up, really.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think you're definitely a person to talk to in terms of transitioning from different departments, different industries and stuff. It seems like you've had quite a fluid career path so far.
Thank you.
And that actually brings me to my next question. I did a bit of research before the podcast, as you'd hope.
Yeah.
I did. So I saw on your LinkedIn that previously you were a cinematic designer at Supermassive Games, and obviously moving to nDreams, you've become a gameplay and narrative designer. Was that a similar process for you in terms of visualizing, doing what you want to do each day and stuff? And how did you make that change? What skills did you need to develop, and how did you move into that role fluidly? Really
cool question, man. To be honest, with this situation, I didn't really have to do much, because when I was working at Supermassive, I had multiple things going on there. So I was a cinematic game designer that also dealt with, for example, like cameras and building some narrative in there, and we all know Supermassive are great with branching narrative games. So that was experience in itself, writing stories for games and building on that. So it just made sense. When I saw this role, gameplay and narrative, at nDreams, I was super excited. And I actually said to myself, this is mine. It's nobody else's. This is what I've been waiting for at a studio I've been having my eye on for years. And it's the perfect role. So I was lucky enough to get the opportunity. But yeah, to be honest, you would notice on your journey, and I don't want to sound too philosophical here, but you will notice on your journey, no matter where you started, you will notice things will come into your life, or you enter somebody else's life or another environment, and everything is attaching itself to you. Some type of experience, some type of understanding and perspective is leading you in the right direction without you even realizing it. And so me working at Supermassive, I didn't realize that, that narrative design, which wasn't really my role at the time, it was just something I was asked to do, would help me do this. And again, I've come to nDreams and I've had opportunities to also pitch and for big, it's incredible. But I've had that experience before in a smaller scale, and not realizing that, a couple of years down the line, I'll be doing this on a much larger scale. So that's it. Basically, don't feel the pressure, guys. Simple as that. Like, your journey's your journey. Every drive-through you go through is for a reason. Simple. It really is. So take the pressure off your shoulders. You'll get there in the end.
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely in your case, it is kind of funneled towards a certain path. But sort of taking a reflective stance, looking back on your career path, do you have any career highlights or any best projects that you've worked on, would you say?
Yes. So the project I'm working on now, I can't say anything about at all. It's probably the most challenging project I've ever worked on, and because of that, it's my highlight of a project. It's my favorite one. There's so many technical restraints and stuff that makes you, have to think differently, right? And it forces collaboration across the departments, which is important. Games is such a medium that relies on collaboration, heavy collaboration. And I'm a believer that if there isn't that really, and it's just kind of light in collaborating, then the game will never be good. No matter how great the idea is, it will never be good. So having the challenge on this project, which I wish I could talk about, but I can't, is incredible. Another highlight, though, of the career is nothing to do with like games as such, like, opportunities that I'm kind of like doing for games. It's actually, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I was asked to kind of be a mentor for college students, and that was incredible. The reason I say it was my highlight, because I never realized how how much I appreciated seeing people needing help, you know, and how much I can potentially help, you know. So that was an incredible opportunity. I would love to continue mentoring. I want to be in a situation where I'm not the only one, you know, especially with someone who looks like myself. So I kind of really just want to help as much as possible, if you want the honest truth. And it was beautiful because you're seeing young students, because I wish I got into games earlier. Wish I got into games when I was like 20, 26. And I'm seeing 16-year-olds doing this now, and they're smashing it. And it blew me away, genuinely blew me away. So I love seeing that. It gave me new life, and I hope more opportunities like that come in the future.
Yeah, that's really admirable, mate. So, you know, you said you wanted to, you wish you got in sooner. If that was the case, what advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now? If you were to start again, what advice would you give?
Interesting. If I was to start again, don't be so stressed, Adam. It's not worth it. It's gonna get there in the end. But Adam, you should probably look into stuff like code from early. You've always been interested, Adam, young Adam. You've always been interested, but you just never knew it was possible. But it is. It really is. So that's what I would say to myself, mate. Yeah, like it's always, anything's possible, man. But just don't be stressed. Would I change anything? Really, though? No. Really, no. But if I was forced to change something, I would say learn code earlier. If I was forced to. But I'm happy with how it's turned out.
No, that's good. That's good. If you weren't working in your role then, or in the games industry, either in the games industry or not, what would you say you'd be? What do you think you'd be doing?
Good question. Film still probably, but I've always, inside of me, I've always had this like childlike excitement, right? Which is why I just love Punch Drunk, the immersive theatre studio. So I would love to kind of create location-based experiences that somehow merge technology with the physical world, right? The digital with the physical world. So that is still a dream, to be honest. And that's something I'm hopefully going to pursue in the future. Not necessarily games, but using those kind of engines and pipelines to kind of create that bridge between the physical and the digital world. So
yeah, that's it. Well, like you said, don't stress about it. I'm sure
exactly.
It'll all work out. Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, well, I think that does it for the Aardvark Asks. Thank you very much, Adam from nDreams for joining us today.
Nice one. Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so if you did like what you heard today, please do join us again next time and listen to all our other stuff. Thanks. Cheers.